mainly the thing that I really wanted to add into my repertoire was, and you'll see it later, it's called the Bloodbox. And it was something that I created specifically for this movie. It really, I was thinking about Iris's compound where she was hiding from death, or staving off death for as long as
Yeah.
possible, and I really wanted to make unique textures and sounds, because what she did is kind of a homegrown, there's pots and pans, there's propane tanks and weird metal stuff, and
Right.
just this thing, and I really wanted to have something unique that I have never used before, in added to my sound palette.
Yeah.
So that's what I created with the Blood Box. Cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So we're sitting here in front of the blood box.
This is the Blood Box.
So how did this creation come to be?
So this is an old crate, an ammunition crate from the Czech Republic, I believe in the 80s. I found that on Etsy. I got the idea a long time ago, actually. I was thinking about it this morning. George Deering was in here recording one time, and I kind of asked him for, interesting, cool sounds, and he's like, "Oh, well, hey, Tim," and he grabs a bow and he just starts bowing like different guitars and doing it. So I thought, well, that was kind of cool, and how can I kind of achieve that myself? So for this project, I started doing some research. I came across another composer's instrument called the Apprehension Engine, and his name is Mark Coven. And it did some really cool stuff for horror movies and things like that. So I said, well, let me make my own example of it. And this is what came of it, the Blood Box. So you've got 3 strings here. You got a pickup, you got the volume and the tone. You've got rulers, nice for adding different sounds. You got springs that you can bow and strike and all sorts of things. You've got this end pin thing that, you have contact mics in there as well, so it's not just a pickup. So you don't necessarily need reverberating things. Like anytime you hit the box, you kind of come up with this interesting sound.
Yeah.
And you just record a lot of different things, and you kind of get what you get, and you kind of create. You can really create these cool textures to add to the orchestra. So it's not like. It doesn't sound like anything else you've ever heard before.
Right.
So that's what I was going for.
So you're kind of using this more of just like a little seasoning.
Yeah, I would say it's a seasoning. It's not an instrument that you're going to create like quote a death theme or something like that on it, because it's not something you're going to write a lot of notes on it, but definitely seasoning on top of it, and it's something that I can manipulate and give specific performances that really will add a lot to the cue.
But there's also maybe an unpredictability about it, where it becomes a little bit more, in that sense, just you're kind of, I guess, more natural. I guess more naturally organic.
Well, that's it. I think organic is the best way to describe it. It just really has a way of coloring the sound that gives it much more life. I mean, not that the orchestra does not give things life, but it's a very predictable sound.
Right.
And
if you hit a key on a piano, you know exactly what that's.
You know what it's going to sound like. The strings do this and that. So it's sort of I wanted to add a little bit of an experimental flavor to it, but not have the whole score be this way.
Yeah. So maybe we can do a little demo.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me see what I can get for you. So I'll start plucking away and adding some strings, and we'll see what we get.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, there's always more sounds to create, but and every time you play it, it's something different. So what I just did there, I never did before, and I probably will never be able to replicate it again. So
It's an original piece.
It's an original piece. So yeah, that's the Bloodbox.
Absolutely. So have you built stuff in the past? Is this kind of your first attempt at building an original instrument?
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, I've taken instruments and I've tried different ways of playing them.
Yeah.
Detuning them in a strange way. I was reading about a composer, and I'm forgetting the score, but he would put viola strings on his violin and then detune it, and play it, and it had this unique texture that doesn't really sound like it before. And I think I've always thought about doing this, and I haven't done it for Final Destination, but back when we were doing some more experimental things in other projects, it was in the game fields, we wanted to put the orchestra in strange positions and record it that way. The problem is that when you're recording, it's so expensive. So unless you're going to, and you don't know 1,000% it's going to work, and these players are used to sitting where they're used to sitting.
Sure.
So to put them in uncomfortable. I can't say the word.
Unconventional.
Unconventional is uncomfortable, unconventional. That's what I was meant to say.
Yeah.
Places that it can be challenging, and so you can't get it. So we decided to stick with a pretty traditional orchestra for Final Destination, and that's where the Bloodbox kind of comes in.
Yeah.
That adding something on top of it to kind of color the sound, and it's more effective when you talk to concert masters and such, and you're like, hey, what if we put the violas with the double basses and the this and the that, all these crazy places? I'd be like, oh, that'll never work.
Yeah.
So I think there's something there eventually. You have to come along with the project knowing that if you do burn half a day of recording, that it's okay.
Right. But I just love something like this because it almost like blends into like Foley and sound design, where it's like that version for music, and it's just like. And it just, I don't know, it just, when I see stuff like that, like, especially it just reminds me of just the way movies were made with practical stuff, and you can touch it and manipulate it, and whether it's practical effects or just like cheating a shot, it's like, it's all about the gimmicks and the kind of, like, that's what I fell in love with filmmaking.
Yeah. And I think this movie does a great job of that, because the first time I saw it, the first cut, and they were still, well, I was starting to see the dailies.
Yeah.
And then the first cut that I saw was maybe a month later, because they had the whole time Sabrina was back assembling the shots, and so she had her cut pretty early in the process, maybe 3 weeks.
Wow.
So there wasn't any special effects in there yet.
Yeah.
But there was so much practical effects. They built the sky view, which is where the first, how every Final Destination usually in the first quarter of the movie has this big spectacular death sequence or piece, whatever, set piece, whatever it is. So they with all the practical effects with it, they built the sky view, and it looks fantastic on screen. And you can really, it feels tangible, it feels organic, it feels, all that sort of stuff. And even my wife was talking about this morning. She's like, well, they didn't like really break glass and do all that sort of stuff like that. And I'm like, well, I'm pretty sure they did like all that practical effects. When I saw it, the first time I saw it, there was no effects at all.
Yeah.
And so I was shocked. I thought the film, had been obviously colored. Nothing had been done to it.
Sure.
And it looked amazing. And that's all credit to the filmmakers, Zach and Adam. It was really fantastic.
Yeah. Well, Tim, congratulations on Final Destination Bloodlines, and it's just always been a pleasure to come and sit and talk with you. And thank you for demoing the Bloodbox, and hopefully it makes appearances in some future Tim Wynn scores.
Yeah, thanks, Kaya. I really appreciate it, and I hope this leads to bigger, better things, and more importantly, I just want this so the fans know who's behind the sound, because they are so precious. Some of the first tweets or whatever, when they found out that I was doing it, they were like, they know Shirley Walker can't come back, but they love her scores, and I love what she did for the movies as well. And I am here to shepherd you through the next, hopefully, few things, because I love those scores too, and we're doing everything to honor the legacy of it, because Final Destination as a franchise, it's living again, and I'm excited about it, and I'm excited about being a part of it.